Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Tamlin Hislop from the Happiness Consultancy, bringing you the Happiness Show. The Happiness Show is all about creating passion, purpose, and happiness in every area of your life. And I'm really excited today to be introducing Julia Pierini, who is the CEO of Birdlife Zimbabwe. And Julia is extremely passionate about what she does, and I knew that I had to have her on the show because she'd love to share how she found her passion and how she can help you find yours too. So welcome, Julia. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. So, Julia, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do at Birdlife Zimbabwe and how you got to be there?
So I am the CEO of Birdlife Zimbabwe, and we are a bird conservation organization. A lot of people ask us, we're just a bunch of bird watchers. Well, we are that as well, and bird monitoring is very important for the conservation of birds and biodiversity because they are very good indicators of the state of the environment. So we do a lot of bird watching, yes, our members do, and we've got a Birdlife Youth Club, and we encourage youngsters to get out and learn about birds. In Zimbabwe we have 670 species of birds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and 160 of them are migrants. So they come and go in the rainy season from different areas of the world. So what often we think of our birds, we share with other countries. Hammer falcons from China, Palearctic migrants from North Africa and Europe, white storks from Germany,
Wow, so that knowledge then benefits those countries who are also studying their own birds.
Absolutely, and which is why Birdlife Zimbabwe is a locally based registered NGO, but we are in a partnership with another 120 other organizations around the world because birds have no borders. And so a lot of the work that we do is conservation, and basically what it is protection of habitats and ecosystems for birds, biodiversity and people, because we often think as people that we are not connected to nature, but our very survival as a species relies on nature. Do we breathe fresh air? Do we drink water? These are all ecosystem services that we share with nature and birds and animals.
Oh, incredible. So making a difference for birds as well as the ecosystem, as well as the environment, as well as people.
That's right.
So, wow, doing lots of positive stuff in Zim, I know. So Julia, I know that in the past you didn't obviously used to work for Birdlife, and now obviously you're doing something that's very important to you, something that you're passionate about and that you're purposeful about. How did you find that? How did you get to be where you are today from where you were before? How did you find your passion, basically?
Well, I wasn't one of the fortunate youngsters that get to adulthood knowing what they wanted.
Like many people.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. I was a rebellious teenager, and I wasn't sure. What I did know that I didn't like authority. I wanted to do my own thing. I was quite arrogant and decided that I would go across after having grown up in Zimbabwe and taken, loving outdoor life. My parents at the time were living in Botswana, so I grew up in a wildlife environment because my father was in road construction. So in the days when Botswana mostly the roads were not tarred, so there was a lot of wildlife around, and so very used to an outdoor lifestyle, going to school in Zimbabwe where sports and sunshine, swimming and running around, enjoying, yes, and taking everything for granted. Anyway, so I eventually ended up in Europe and got a degree as a translator, learning languages, because that came easy to me. I'm of Italian descent, so grew up with Italian grandparents, and so they taught us Italian, so I thought, well, this is easy. So, and it was, because it does come naturally to me, and only to find as the years went by that this wasn't actually something that made me happy.
And how could you tell that it didn't make you happy?
Well, we all know what makes us happy. So you go through the motions, and people think, oh well, you're so lucky because you're living in Europe, and there's so many opportunities, and you can do it all, and you realize inside, and you go through the motions, but you know that you are not happy. And so every year I'd come back for Christmas, and I would spend a month in Zimbabwe, and I would bawl my eyes out when I had to leave.
That's a good sign there then, that there's some happiness.
It was like, oh my God, I've got to leave now. Anyway, so I had made a choice all those years back, and so I felt I couldn't go back and now go back home to Zimbabwe because I had made such a noise to leave, and then the years rolled by, and eventually I got to 40 years of age, and I realized, it was like one morning the penny dropped, and I realized
an aha moment. Yeah.
I thought, what am I doing? I hadn't grown amazingly rich, I hadn't an amazing career, I wasn't married, I didn't have children, and I thought to myself, well, I can go home now.
Yeah, I'm not happy, so I need to go and create
And it
happiness.
was like, it was a feeling of liberation, I must admit, and I went back home, and the first thing I did was I bought a Land Cruiser, a second-hand Land Cruiser, which I still have, and she's my baby, and I went zooting off safari, because this is what I wanted to do. And
so that's what you're passionate about, is being out in nature, being
out
in the bush,
yeah.
observing animals and birds, and
Yes, and I loved it, and
so very different from the past, where you were being a translator, living in Europe, to now living in Africa, going on safari, having that freedom to go and do what you loved.
yes, without feeling obliged to be doing something that somebody is not approving of what I'm doing, because at the end of the day no one cares. It's up to you. Get on with it.
That's a very good point. I think it's, if anything is holding you back, and especially if it's people, it's that don't worry about what other people think, don't worry about what other people say, and actually follow what you want and follow your dreams, because that's where happiness and passion and purpose lies, right?
Yes, you have to, because at the end of the day, life has no meaning if you don't reach down inside of you and listen to what your insides are saying to you. And they're trying to talk to you all the time, but often we don't listen because there's always someone else talking over it and telling you, oh, do this, and oh, do that, and oh, if you don't do this, this will happen. And at the end of the day, things happen all the time, and sometimes things that we can't control happen, but your happiness is dependent on you listening, to that, to yourself.
To your inner voice.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you if you had one tip, and I think that's a very profound tip that you've just given there, is to really be still and really take some time to listen to what it is that you really want, what it is that really makes you happy.
Yes.
And I know you say that you like to go out into nature and just also take time out for you and listen, and you then feel rejuvenated and revitalized after doing that.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's just something peculiar to me. I think that it's something that we underestimate as humans. A lot of us, a lot of people already know this, and they're thinking, oh good, you discovered hot water here. But,
well, why are so many people unhappy then, right?
Yeah, we so pressurized by society or demands that we forget. And in Zimbabwe we are so privileged to have nature, and this is why, for me, we have so much nature left that I'm passionate about protecting it and making people realize this is something precious.
Absolutely.
People that have lost it in the States, in Europe, they're desperate. They come to Africa as soon as they can to get
Save
that,
for it, yeah.
to get that what we have in our backyard. And so it's such a precious resource, and it's recharging our own batteries, you know, but we've got it in our backyard, so we think, oh, we go on holiday and we need to go somewhere where there's lots of people, and we think, oh, we don't want to go to our national parks because, you know, it's dusty, it's got all the creepy crawlies, and you know,
But that's where we connect with nature.
We connect with nature, and we all recharge our batteries. We all do. You know, so that's, you know, BirdLife is a tool. You know, I often say for people to rediscover their inner souls, because watching birds forces you to take the time to slow down and look at nature. You know,
and observe the detail and
yes,
use your awareness.
Yes, I mean, I think, you know, other people will say, oh, you know, birds are big, look smaller, you know, so like the director of the Natural History Museum in Bulawayo, Moira Fitzpatrick, would say, look at the spiders and the little stuff, you know, and that will make
so
it
much
even
detail.
closer, you know, and she's right, you know.
So Julia, you've told us a little bit about your passion and how you found your passion. So now let's talk a little bit about your purpose. So how did you find and discover your purpose? Because I know that you said, like, when you wake up in the morning, you feel that you've got a reason to get up. You feel like you've got something meaningful to do with your day, and that is all about living on purpose. So tell us, how did you find that?
Well, it's very simple. It actually comes rather naturally, because once you've discovered your passion and what drives you, it's the passion that drives you and gives you the purpose. And you know, I can give a little example how you know, even when things are not going okay and there's lots of challenges, and you know, as we know, there are always lots of challenges. And sometimes you think, oh, why am I doing this? I mean, this is awful, you know, and there's lots of things coming. Your passion is big enough, and there's that voice in your head that will not let you let go. And it's very simple, that's what it is, you know. And I mean, I have family members that say, enough, give up, no, they don't deserve you, no, and you go, yeah, and you just keep going, you know, and that's what it is.
You feel like you're giving value and meaning with your life. You're living on purpose.
Yeah. Well, you realize that I, in my particular capacity, realize that this is not about me. It's about nature, it's about people, it's about surviving as a species, you know.
By the way, that's coming from a very soul, heart-centered point of view, when it's not about you, when you're thinking of other things and other people, whereas a lot of us live from an ego point of view, where we think, I want this, or I want that, or I need that. But it's lovely how you said it's not about me. It's actually about preserving nature and making a difference.
Yes. So, you know, when it's the thing, you know, you realize this is not about me. You know, who is going to stand up? And they are, fortunately. You know, you think, I'm not the only one doing this.
Yeah.
You know, and who am I to be, you know? But you realize is that I have to add my voice to this, and I have been given the opportunity to do just that. And if I don't, you know, as CEO, I have to lead by example. So that's what drives you, and you know, and every day you sort of, you know, keep pushing and pushing, and that's what it is. And you have to lead by example.
I think that's also a wonderful point that Julia just mentioned there, is you have a voice, you have something of value and meaning to give back to the world. And what are you doing with that? What are you doing with that passion of yours, with that talent, with that purpose? And are you using it for the greater good? So I love how, Julia, you live with passion and purpose and don't give up despite what's going on around us. So I think that's very courageous.
Well, we're all very courageous. I mean, I'm certainly not the only person who's courageous around. But and with all my flaws, because, you think, well, I don't have this, if I don't have the qualifications, I don't have this, I don't have that, and I've realized it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter at all. You've got to be who you are and know what you're doing and what you want to do and go for it.
And go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Amazing. That's
Yes.
brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you, Julia. And just lastly, if other people out there are looking to find their passion, their purpose, and to create more happiness in their lives, how can they go about doing that? What's one tip that you have for others wanting to create more happiness?
You've got to listen to yourself, because your inside voice, the little voice inside, has been trying to tell you for years, as was my case, and for lots of reasons you don't want to listen to it. And so my advice is to go out into nature.
I agree.
And in the silence, okay? So stay away, get away from all the little voices and people giving you lots of advice, and we've got family members and lots of people giving us advice, and take the time and to listen to that voice. And it's out of also respect to yourself that you have to do this. Because in the end, it's what is really important. Take the time to listen to yourself, and sometimes it'll take a little while because you've got lots of voices
To quieten down everything else. Yeah.
And yeah.
And another thing you mentioned to me earlier before the interview was because we have all this beauty on our doorstep, we take it for granted, but B, we don't have to drive 8 hours to get to nature. Yes, that is lovely, and everyone should go to all the incredible parks in Zimbabwe, but you can also do 20-minute drive to Mukabisi Woodlands, or go to Haka Park, or go to Lake Trevero, or go to Uenrig, or the botanical gardens. Like, you can connect with nature right on your doorstep, right in your garden, essentially. So don't be afraid to step out just in front of you and take that time that you need for yourself in nature as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very privileged. Many of us have gardens, and there are lots of open spaces, and lots of birds, lots of animals. Let's take that time out to, even during the day we're so busy rushing around. In BirdLife this year we launched a Harare Guard Bird Survey, and it's amazing how many people are coming on board, and because we're giving them, birding with a purpose. Because now we're saying, right, every month you've got to monitor the birds in your garden. You've got to do it, and so that's forcing them to go out and look
And observe what's in their garden. Amazing.
And so everybody gets excited. Oh, I've got this, and oh, I've got that, because they haven't had spent
that attention
the time
or awareness.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'm really excited about that, about creating a little
yes.
my food platform and all the food to hang in my trees and to attract all the birds. So I, for one, am going to be birding on purpose and going to be observing and being more aware of the birds that are in my garden. And I've got someone here holding me accountable for that, which is great. But Julia, now if other people are watching this and they want to make a difference in the world and they want to give back, and maybe they want to help BirdLife Zimbabwe out by either donating their time or donating money, or have any ideas as to how to help BirdLife Zimbabwe, how could they go about doing that?
Well, we have a very nice website, I like to say to myself.
Great.
And it's BirdLife Zimbabwe, www.birdlifezimbabwe.org.
Okay.
And there are everybody's contact details. If you click on About Us, you'll get all the contact details, my own also. Then what projects we're working on, conservation projects. There's also a very nice tab called Birding Zimbabwe, because a lot of people that are interested in birds but don't know where to start. You're going on holiday, you're going to Kariba on a houseboat, go onto the Birding Zimbabwe tab, click on Kariba and you'll have a checklist, what birds.
Brilliant.
You can print it out, and as you sit on a houseboat or on your tender boat fishing, click what, start.
Tick off your
tick
list,
off the
yeah.
birds, and you think, and then when you get back to Harare or if you're in Bulawayo, we have a Matabeleland branch also, and then our Eastern Highland members are there also, and so very special birds in the Eastern Highlands, by the way. So, and then you can share your list with us, because
you always want to know what people
Yeah.
see out and about, right?
birds are indicators of the environment, and that's what we get people to do. Even when they're on holiday, you are birding with a purpose.
Yes, you can make a difference even on holidays.
Yes,
Fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your passion, your purpose, and how you create happiness in your life.
Thank you.
Some wonderful points there, and definitely things that we can all try, and we can try today and tomorrow to start implementing these strategies in our life to help us find more passion, purpose, and happiness. So thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
And like Julia said, if you'd like to get hold of her, please visit the BirdLife website, www.birdlifezimbabwe.org, and get in touch with Julia or the rest of the team there to find out how you can help out BirdLife Zimbabwe, or just to find out more about birding in Zimbabwe in general. But thank you everybody so much for listening. This is the Happiness Show, and I hope you've all taken away some incredible happy points and passionate points and ways to live more purposeful in your life. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks again. Bye.
Bye.